eine große Rechnung haben wird. Ja, ich hoffe auch das nicht. Aber, ja.
Is Frank Nessel here? No. But he's on his way?
Yeah.
All right, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Linda, would you lead us in roll call? Neil?
Here.
Betty?
Here.
Chris?
Here.
A few amendments to the agenda. We have attorneys done here who will be able to answer questions from the board about any proposed changes to our Board of Ethics or ethics law. So I'm going to add them right to the top here. And then also whenever Frank Nessel comes in, he requested time on the agenda to talk about fire safety issues. So I'll just add him in as soon as he walks in, so we don't have to keep him around too long. Okay, I was just talking about you. Frank. So, did you want to be added to the agenda?
Please.
Okay, great. So let's do, you can be at the top, so you don't have to stick around longer than you want to.
Okay.
And then Greg and Kirsten. Is it Kristen or Kirsten? It's Kirsten. Kirsten. Okay. Any other, and then also under introduction of resolutions and motions, we're adding the resolution regarding the safety committee, adding resolution regarding quotation of bids for fire ponds, and adding end of year budget amendment resolution so that we close out with everything in the right place. Linda, does the public have a copy of the capital reserve fund resolution from last month?
There's some up there,
Any other changes to the agenda, board members?
Stand side.
Do you all need this? Do you have
Yes,
it in front of
please.
you?
May I have one of those, please?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we'll go ahead with reports. Frank, take it away.
All right. Actually, we have all the departments here that represent the town of Palatine except St. Johnsville. One of the reasons I come to the board to try to clarify some confusions that was created here a couple months ago during a board meeting. And it's in reference to fire ponds. We definitely have a concern as fire departments that there's not enough water sources in the town of Palatine. About 4 years ago, there was a fire up on Indian Road, and just before that, we had, as a group that meets every other month, brought that as one of our agendas, is to see if we could get something done in the town of Palatine. I went to a former board member about it, kind of got discussed for a couple months, and kind of died and fell off the agenda. So obviously, it's become a topic here in the town again. It's not a bad thing on our part, because it definitely is a high concern. One of the things was that I feel is a problem is the fact that when I was contacted a couple months ago about this, I asked the person that contacted me to, look into fire ponds. And then they got back to me and said there was only enough money for one. Where should we try to put it? Well, obviously, the best location would have been centralized in the town of Palatine. And from there, you go to the outside corners of your township in 4 quarters and work your way in. Well, somehow that got conceded that had to be at the town barn. That did not come out of my mouth. So, as a taxpayer also in this township, the little whatever was going on between putting the pond where the town office is supposed to be built, that had nothing to do with me. My concern is for the taxpayers of this town. And during that meeting, there was a price tag put on people's lives. At no time should there be a price put on someone's lives. So whether you spend $30,000 for a pond or 15, your interest should be in the taxpayers here. So, and Mr. Enrich can speak too. There's also some things brought up during that meeting in reference to some of our call times, getting to scenes. All departments that respond to the town of Palatine, we have open applications, so if there's anybody in this town that wants to join our departments, you're more than welcome to come and fill out the application. And we are volunteer. We don't get paid. We come from our houses, our jobs, just like a little while ago in Fort Plain. So it may take us a couple minutes, but the taxpayers really want to look into this. Look what it would cost you to have a paid department. You think your taxes are high now? And that's the way the state's forcing us to go. So, as far as I'm concerned, we need the fire ponds, okay? It's to benefit everybody in this room, if they're taxpayers or anybody that owns property in this township. There is not enough out there. But at the same time, there's ponds out there that you as a board got to reach out to the homeowners to see if we can utilize what's already out there, put driveways in, dry hydrants. And from there, if there's a location where there's several miles in between, that's where you want to put your ponds. And fire hydrants, too, was brought up from the village of Canterbury. That is a no-go per the superintendent of water from the village of Canterbury. So you will not be able to put hydrants off Canterbury's line. And the reason for that is the flow. There's currently a hydrant at the water plant up in the town there. We cannot go there. He calls me every time we have a call in the town of Palatine, do not use that hydrant. Because what's going to happen is if we draw too much, we're going to collapse the line from Palatine to Mud Road. So I don't know where the dysfunctional part got and the finger pointing got, but it's not from us.
Can I just, so, I don't think any, so I see that all of the fire departments are here. A lot of what happens in this room is some of the craziest, stupidest stuff I've ever heard in my life. And then what happens is people leave and say, he said that and she said that. And all I know is that a concern about fire safety was brought up. Right now, this council is a lame duck council. We don't have anything in front of us. There's no budget proposal, there's no amendment to law, there's nothing in front of us. So what I would suggest is just one, I apologize for anything that like a game of telephone, something happened in this room and then got out and clearly people
actually,
are upset.
a lot of that, obviously somebody here is videotaping it.
Yeah.
So it's all live. We can hear everything that goes
Good.
on here.
So
and
did
it
you see it?
comes word for mouth right out of this board meeting, some of that stuff.
Yeah, sure. I mean, people say crazy things. So, I mean, I'll just say, I really appreciate your service. It's amazing. I'm so proud of what happens. I mean, it has brought tears to my eyes being outside of fire and, friends where all that every town from all around us comes and does everything they can to to try to save houses and save lives. So, you know, seriously, clearly something got lost in translation there. But again, in terms of what could go forward and, whether it's building a fire pond, multiple fire ponds, that's really gonna be up to the next board. So, I
And
mean,
that's what I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah.
I understand there's gonna be some changes here,
yeah,
but you gotta keep going forward.
yep,
You can't go backwards, you gotta stop the fighting, whether to put the pond where the town office is. I don't care about the town office, okay? My job as fire chief is to bring to your attention an issue that we have on the fire side. That is something that we, as a group, you know, brought to the attention that there's not enough water sources. And we actually have to call extra resources in this township if we have a big fire. Now, once we step out of that township contract departments, it becomes a liability of the officer that's calling outside the town of Palatine departments that have contracts. So if we can eliminate some of that, and not only life safety and your property, but it also takes liability off us.
thank you.
Yes,
Yes.
with large holding tanks, if you had large enough holding tanks, you wouldn't have to bother anybody for ponds.
Well, I'll tell you something, when it comes to large holding tanks, it costs lots of money.
Well,
So that's not what we're here to do, is spend tons of dollars to build fire ponds, okay? Not millions. You have ponds out there, like I said to somebody, you gotta go to the property owners, you gotta get permission, put a driveway in, put a dry hydrant in. A dry hydrant system costs anywhere from $600 to $1,000. The rest, I think the town highway department has enough equipment that, you know, you can minimize the cost. You probably have to bring fill in or whatever, and obviously they would have to maintain them in the winter months.
Thanks for coming in, Frank.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to, I guess this is basically a time for Greg and attorneys Greg and Kirsten Dunn to answer any questions that the board might have regarding the proposed amendments to ethics law. Do you want to just start with kind of background?
I guess we'll work on it together. Kirsten's done quite a bit of work on the ethics law. Anyway, we were presented with the old ethics law, and there were a number of problems with it. Can you hear me, Marge? We were presented with the old ethics law, and in reviewing that, we basically found what we determined to be a number of problems. The main one was that it created an ethics board that was like a police force. We didn't see the ethics board as really being there to perform that function. And so what our recommendation has been is to amend the law in order to give the ethics board authority to recommend or make recommendations specifically for conflicts of interest that might arise in the town setting. It really doesn't go tremendously beyond conflicts of interest. And conflicts of interest would be something where somebody involved in the decision-making process would somehow benefit from that personally, or have somebody that they're close to benefit from that. And if that's the case, then this law provides that person fully disclose what may be the situation, and then recuse themselves from any decision-making that may come up. The law, as we've sought to amend it, doesn't go much beyond that. It doesn't give an ethics board the power to punish anybody. It gives the ethics board the power to make recommendations to the board. In also going through that, we realized that the old ethics law did not, I guess the board wasn't appointed properly, right? Kirsten, and maybe you can describe that a
Well,
little
the
bit.
state has a law, the state already has a law in place. If you have an ethics board, it has to contain
at least one member from your elected board. The old law did not, it actually provided that no one elected may be on the board, which is therefore not enforceable. It's not an enforceable law, so we had to change it. The current law says that there are 3 people, a minimum of 3 members on the ethics board, and 1 at least must be an appointed official, an elected official.
And so we've come tonight, basically, there are a couple complaints before the ethics board currently. And the current ethics board was prepared to provide some recommendations to the board, but when they came to us, we discovered fairly recently, actually, after I talked to Paul, that the current board was not formed correctly. So our recommendation is that a new board be appointed once the new town board comes in, by the new town board, and then those complaints be reviewed. If they're the same people on the board, they've already reviewed them and they're one step ahead of the game. If they haven't, then they review it and then they make recommendations to the board as soon as possible in regard to what they find.
Great,
And that's basically it.
great. Thank you very much. Any questions for Guy Kirsten? Okay, thank you. Moving on to the highway report, Artie is not here, but he has submitted a written report, which I believe needs an action.
There it is, there, right next to that one.
Any discussion on Artie's report? I'm gonna put under, resolutions, a motion to authorize Artie to, put the 08 GMC on Auctions International. DCO, Cheryl.
Okay, last month I handled one complaint. I had one call for a found dog that had been posted on Facebook and the owner was found. I handled 2 dog pickups. I issued 11 10-day notices for non-renewal and 1 for no license. And Sarah, I was just wondering, per our conversation on November 2nd about the whole emergency vet services, I wondered if the check had been cut for Dr. Ennis yet, or if you had received a contract for us to copy.
I didn't receive a contract. The check should have been in here. Did you guys see it? I didn't see it.
Don't recall seeing it.
I'll look into it. Anything else?
No, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Just 1 second, I'm checking in on that. All right, Kelly's gonna come in like now. So and we need, I have another bag.
In the office.
You know where they are, Cliff?
Thanks, Cliff.
Okay, assessor's report.
I didn't have one.
Cliff,
Yeah, my report in front of you. Excuse me, slow on permits going out, closing out finals. As like last year and the year before and the year before, we're gonna have some that are left open, straggling, they'll straggle into 2018. But they haven't expired yet, so that's it.
okay, great, thank you. Any questions for Cliff? All right, I'm passing around, in addition to the abstract, this is for Kelly to cut a $500 check for the annual contract for emergency services with Carolina MS. Linda?
Well, I've gotten about 6 phone calls from people wanting to pay their taxes early. And I don't even have, the bills won't go out till tomorrow. I went down today trying to get paperwork so I could answer their questions. I gotta go back down tomorrow, they're not ready, so, as soon as I get that, I've gotta get a hold of these people that wanna pay their taxes early. So that means that, they have to be postmarked by the 31st in order to do it. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, other than, you know, they, gotta be postmarked by the 31st,
Yeah.
so they're gonna have to bear with me. It's something new that's just been sprung on all of us town clerks. I came in last week, came into a floor that's wet. The pipe outside had frozen. The ceiling leaked back here in the corner, went down the wall, over here, on there, on the judge's desk again. I called you and didn't know what to do, so I called Neil. Neil got a hold of somebody to come and fix everything, but he said he.
So we all have to remember, well, we won't be around, so the people who are around for next year, there's a heat strip, and it
We
just needs to
didn't
be
know that.
turned on. So just turn it on.
We know it now.
Now you know.
We know that there's a
This isn't like
switch.
a big, problem that involves a lot of construction or repair. It costs us $25, and somebody just needs to turn on the heat strip,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, well, we know that now, but
It's
we
right
didn't know
above
it
the
before.
door in here,
Mhm.
that switch.
Oh, and I also had water all over the floor too, so I did call. He didn't wanna do anything, he didn't know if it was the furnace, so I called the furnace guy and he came, he sent somebody here to look at it. Everything's okay with the furnace.
Okay, good.
So we don't know if it was a backlog because of the roof, the heat strip, or what else.
Yeah.
But, I told the guy to send us a bill and he said he didn't know if he was even gonna charge us, just to check it out, so, other than that, I'm getting ready to do the taxes. I gotta go back down to Fonda tomorrow and see if I can get them tomorrow, and, I'll be starting to collect taxes next week.
So, Linda, does this mean that you'd be open if people wanted to come down and pay their taxes like the other towns are, or
I
how?
have doctor's appointments all this week, that's why I've been closed.
They have to be sometime now.
I told them to call me, I can give them a total, and they can, because I didn't even know about this when I made my appointments. That's why I made my appointments all this week, so I knew I would be out. So they're going to, call me, I will give them the total, and, the two that called me aren't even from around here, so they're not even gonna come, they're just sending their checks.
Okay.
The other one is, I can go see him. That's all I got.
Okay, let's also add that as a motion to direct the tax receiver to receive prepaid 2018 taxes via mail. And obviously to respond to
Yeah,
any inquiries
yeah,
about,
yeah.
and you can do that by phone.
Yes,
You don't have
yes,
to be
they,
there.
no, they've all called me on my phone today, so.
Okay, good,
This is something that none of us clerks were prepared for.
yeah.
And I guess even Fonda wasn't even prepared because they don't even have the tax rolls ready for me.
Okay. Anything else for your report?
That's it.
Any questions for Linda? Okay, and a report from the planning board. Joe, yeah.
Yep, good evening. Right now, the only thing we really have is a subdivision application that we have. We actually have a site plan application for the residential and commercial solar farms that we have that we're fine tuning. And once we got the kinks on our end worked out, we'll send it off to the town board to approve it. And Linda,
Yeah.
I also have for you, these are the hours for our training,
What's that?
the hours for our training.
Yep,
This is altogether for the past 2 years combined.
okay,
So everybody is up to snuff on their training.
okay.
And that's all we have.
Great, thank you. Any questions for the planning board? All right, Board of Ethics.
You want me to do it here? I got some more training for you.
Okay, good, thank you.
That just came in the email the other day.
Thank you.
Thank you for recognizing the Madam Supervisor. I'd like to address the town board, people who are employed by our town, and the people who are residents of the town. I'm Paul Spencer, I live on the Farrar Road, Palatine Bridge. I am chairman of the Ethics Committee. My report is short and to the point, and I'm going to read it off to you. The Ethics Committee held its annual meeting on Monday, December 4th of 2017. However, due to the error of the town clerk, Linda Logan, regarding the numbering of the local law, the law could not be filed in New York State until it was corrected. The town clerk failed to notify any member of the Ethics Committee as to the delay in the filing of the law created. As a result, the meeting held on December 4th, 2017, had to be declared null and void. The actual date of the law, local law, excuse me. The actual date for filing the local law of 2005 was December 11th of 2017. At this time, I respectfully request the town board appoint Hank Vandenberg, Councilman Hank Vandenberg, Bill Winston, and myself to serve on the town board of ethics committee for 2018. I presume everybody on the board got the packet of all the work that we did on December 4th. And it's just too bad. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Paul. That's it for reports. Any questions for Paul?
Can I, Paul, is it okay with you or the board? Can I just
go ahead.
add a couple of other points?
Yeah.
I also met with Attorneys Dunn's a few weeks ago, and your opinion was that the questionnaire that we send out of all the employees and things should be revamped or eliminated. Could you just go with that for a minute?
It's actually been passed that you no longer have that. You don't have that particular disclosure. In the new law, you have disclosure of a conflict of interest in the event that there is a conflict of interest. You do not have to make declarations ahead of time. Unless ahead of time there is an actual conflict of interest. The reason is because some of it's an invasion of your personal your personal information. You don't need to give out that information, and it's a little bit invasive to ask for it.
So in your opinion, what should be done with those? Those are all completed somewhere. Somebody's holding them. Should they be destroyed, returned?
If you have a preference, I mean, I would destroy. You have no use for them. There's no use under the law for them. Burn them, destroy them, hand them back, whatever people prefer. It's just, there's no use for them anymore.
And they're done annually, so, you know, the organizational meeting is gonna be January 1st, right, Betty?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what would happen at the beginning of the year, is that these all get distributed to all elected officials, you know, just opt not to send them out. And it does sound like there are pretty significant conflicts between state law and our local law that just need to be addressed, right? And that's the new board's gonna do that.
Thank you.
I got one more.
Mm-hmm.
I failed to do this
You can sit.
in my approach.
Yes.
I also have here the copy of the record,
Thank you.
and I did spend a little while